There we go.
Do you want to just go?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Okay. I'm going to get my screen up and ready. Thanks to those joining this evening and for anybody catching the recording. Um, we're going to talk about social media tonight. Hang on one second. Am I still screen sharing too, Kiana?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know why it's not letting me click on present full screen. We're just having all the technical issues here.
Apparently today, I don't know what is going on.
Me either. What the heck? Oh, wait. It would help if I hit present.
Oh, there we go.
Welcome to my training on social media, everyone. All right, I'm gonna move this guy over here. You gotta laugh at yourself, right? So, anyways, all things social media tonight, not in Canva presentations, as you can see, but on, Instagram particularly. So before I dive too much in, I'll give you a little bit about my story and myself, just so you know who's talking to you tonight about social media, besides the girl who couldn't get her Canva presentation up and running. So my name is Amy Chesworth. I am 26 and Birch on Instagram. And my whole kind of Instagram story started, I say 2018, but it was actually December 1st, 2017. It was the first of the month, and I don't really count that month because I only just started. And guess what? I didn't even tell my friends or my family that I was starting this whole Instagram journey, because at that time, you guys, it was very like decor related, like home decor, right? And I was embarrassed, right? It's hard to show up and put yourself out there in a way where you feel like others might judge you or have opinions or wonder why you're doing that, right? And so I didn't tell anybody. And it ended up doing pretty well. I took some social media courses, and local realtors in the area started reaching out, asking if I would stage homes. Was like you guys, I am not an interior designer. I work at a university full time. And I'm an academic advisor. I have no interior design to me. And anyways, that was just born out of Instagram. So crazy things can come of it, right? You just don't know what you don't know. And so I started staging some homes, and I then got pregnant with my son Liam. So I stopped because that's very physically demanding. And I actually put my phone down and my Instagram down for my entire 18-month mat leave, if you can believe that. So, and then I started kind of picking it up, and it just kind of became what it is today. Motherhood, lifestyle, all the things you see, and a lot of shampoo. Because that's the next thing that kind of happened out of Instagram, right? I started posting about lifestyle. I ended up seeing my upline Chelsea's gorgeous hair in her stories. It's like mermaid hair, so long. And I jumped on a flash sale, never planned to sell it. But we all know how that story goes because I'm here tonight. So I am sharing it. Obviously, we all know and love it. So that's a little bit about me and my backstory and kind of, how Instagram started and kind of where I've taken it. So on to the next here. I'm going to share with you tonight kind of my 5 secrets that aren't really secrets. I'm not gatekeeping them. But I'm going to start with hiding hits. So the entirety of tonight, you guys, is just all about how to kind of leverage your social media, your Instagram account, and kind of make the most of what you're already doing with it. And it's less about actually selling shampoo, if that makes sense. Like it is, obviously, because that's our end goal and our aim. But how do you get views? How do you get engagement and interest around kind of what you're already doing on Instagram, maybe apart from shampoo, to just kind of build that audience, right? So that's kind of what I'm talking about tonight. So starting with the hide hits, so hashtags, right? Typically, it's good if you're doing a static post or a reel. to include 20 to 30 hashtags on that. And you want to spend some time kind of going through the Explore page and typing in different hashtags so that you can see which ones are really large, like millions of people, versus which ones are really small. And guess what? Both of those are equally as good. When you're choosing your 20 to 30 hashtags, I don't want you to just choose trending ones that have millions. You want to be looking at the ones that have like a couple few hundred to 1,000, right? Because the idea there is those are smaller communities. Your post is more likely to get seen in those smaller communities where people are following those. So having a healthy mix between viral trending and small hometown feels, right? And blending them together. So you can include those obviously on your posts and your reels and all of that. What a lot of people don't know is I actually include hashtags on every single story that I post, but you can't see them because you can include 10 hashtags on a story. So I always include them. And then I just drag them to the top so that nobody can even see that they're there. But that way my story gets that engagement, right? And same with location, you guys. Like I will put a location on every single story that I do, and often on my posts as well. Doesn't necessarily have to be your location either. Like I will tell you, sometimes I go in my stories and I will hashtag Western University, which is a big local university to me. Guess how many views that got from that Western location tag, right? There's lots of girls there with mom and dad's money and some really pretty hair. So they engage and they click. And so get creative, right? Like use those identifiers however you can, whenever you can, if you have the time, because it does help. And, we just launched in France. Have I put France as a location and hidden it in my stories? Yes, I have. So, put the location, put the location and then just drag it to the top. Nobody can even see it's there. So it doesn't even matter. And then same with tags. Like if you're celebrating someone on your team or a sideline or whoever, tag other people and then they get to share it. It brings in a third party view as well, right? Like that's good. And then, sometimes tag Monate Official, tag Monate Canada, Monate USA, whatever, and hide those. Sometimes they will share your stuff, right? It's just another way to kind of get your content out there. And then engage, right? We don't want to forget, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, but Instagram is such a social media platform, but oftentimes we forget it is social, which is so funny because we're just all hidden behind our screens, right? And it is so easy, you guys. I'm guilty of this. Sometimes I will literally see, it could even be someone on my team post a reel and I watch it and I'm like, oh my God, that was really good. But I keep scrolling and I friggin' forget to like or comment. And then I go back and I'm like, oh yeah, I should do that. Like, don't forget to be social and engage with your people, right? And doing that, you guys, like just hitting up the stories in your top ticker, go through them sometimes and like some things, engage on some things. Again, it brings in a conversation and it might make somebody who wasn't watching your stuff go, oh yeah, I wonder what she's doing, and go watch your stuff, right? Okay. I also told Kiana before I started this, I'm going to try and keep this like short and concise. Last time I did this presentation, it was a solid hour and I have about 40 minutes. So if I'm going a little fast, I do apologize, but I do want to try and get through all of this tonight. So number 2, keep it in perspective, right? So I always like to think of a lens of if you wouldn't buy from you watching your stories, why would somebody else? Right? So if you watch yourself and you're like, ugh, like I wouldn't buy that graphic that I keep posting, like that wouldn't interest me, it wouldn't make me want to buy, then don't post it, right? I find that lens really helpful for myself. And then just having a business scroll versus a consumer scroll. I know it is so easy to pick up your phone and just like be like 5 minutes. And then you're like, oops, an hour has gone by and I've done literally nothing. So have that in mind when you pick up to consume. It's fine to consume. I do it for inspiration sometimes. We all need to, but set that timer if you need to remind yourself, right? Be intentional about your consumer hours versus your business hours, right? It will pay you like a business if you treat it like a business. So if you're on Instagram or TikTok, make it a business scroll. And what I mean by that is, still keep it social, engage with your people, do the reach outs. That's opening conversation. That's really good. But don't get lost in the mindless consumeristic scroll. That's what I'm talking about, right? Just be mindful of that. And keeping it simple, you guys. Secret number 3. Multiple accounts versus one account. I get asked this all the time. Like when new girls are joining my team, they're like, okay, I have this personal one, but I'm going to open this Monat one, Monat specific. And my answer always is, if you have an audience that knows and trusts you and follows you already, but you're going to go and open this brand new account and work 10 times as hard to get a loyal following right off the bat, you're doing one of 2 things. Number 1, you're making more work for yourself. And number 2, you're taking this new thing, this new adventure that you've started, and you're kind of saying to your already following, hey, I don't know about this, so I'm going to go over here and talk about it over here. If you're interested, follow me there. It's just a weird feeling, right? And so I don't recommend it. There are people who do it, and there are people it works for, and that's fine. But more often than not, it's more work than it's worth. And I would always recommend kind of amalgamating the 2, because there's almost no account out there going that I would say shampoo doesn't fit, right? There's almost nothing that you could be doing that can't intertwine shampoo with it. We all have hair. We all wash our hair every day. We wash our bodies, right? We care about wellness. We have the wellness line. Like there is almost no account you could show me that I would say, oh yeah, that would be weird to collaborate the 2. There's almost nothing. So what I will say though is, if you do have that one account that you're going to go for and amalgamate the 2, make it public. I know some people feel weird about that and they're not comfortable, and that's their reason for starting a second one, and fine, that's fine, right? But if you can, and if you're comfy, making it public, it just exposes, it opens up your audience, right? And the more eyes, the better for your business, right? Excuse me. Okay, your close friends list, you guys. This is a function in Instagram, if you don't know, where you can click and choose who's in your close friends list, so that when you post stories, you can select that it only goes to your close friends, and that means not everybody can see it. The way that I choose to utilize close friends is by putting all my VIPs in my close friends list. And I do this for a couple of reasons. Number 1, I don't want to start a whole nother page just for my VIPs, because again, I'm all about the work smarter, not harder. And creating a whole nother account for my VIP page just seems like a lot of work. And so I've chosen to funnel them into my close friends list. That way I can still speak to only them whenever I want to through a story. But I don't have a whole nother page that I have to invest time, energy, and effort into. So that's one suggestion that you could do, just to kind of like create some efficiencies in your business. And utilizing notes on your phone, you guys. So I have a potential VIP list and a potential market partner list in notes on my phone. And anytime I have a conversation with somebody who is thinking about the products, or maybe we haven't even talked about Monat, but I just think they might be interested down the road and I don't want to lose their account, I will go to their page, and when you're on their profile, there's 3 dots in the top right hand corner. If you click that and click copy profile URL, You can then copy their profile URL right into notes in your phone. And when you click that, it brings you right back to their profile page. So what I have done is I've created a whole list of potential VIPs that have URL links right to their Instagram page. So it's super efficient in your business, because guess what? When the next flash sale comes up and you have a list of people who are like, oh, I want to, but money's tight, or, I can't justify spending that much. You now have a whole list to be like, hey, super sweet flash sale, had to let you know, like price cuts are awesome, like whatever, right? It's a super efficient way to keep track of people that you have been talking to. And keeping it simple, word vomit. I have a slide here to show this. So someone's asking how to get started in the business, for example. My advice to you is keep it simple, and here's why. Look at the screen right now, right? The one on the left, that's a lot of blue. That's a lot of typing. It's like, hey girl, getting started is so easy. The product pack is at a super sweet discount. This is what you get. So much bang for your buck, back office, blah, blah, blah. That scares people. That is too much information, right? I am guilty of doing that though, you guys. Like when I first started my business, probably messages looked like that because I was excited and I wanted to make sure I shared everything, right? They look more like the one on the right now, right? So somebody's asked me, after I buy the product pack, how much do I have to sell per month? I tell her 0, like huge benefits if you do. So literally you just buy the product pack and try your best. And I didn't even type. I just sent her a GIF. Yep. And she was like, wow, guys, that conversation continued and she became a market partner, right? Because it was short, it was sweet. I let her ask the questions to feel like, she was in the driver's seat, right? I wasn't like coming at her and information dumping. I was letting her ask the questions and letting her be interested, right? And I kind of find like the less word vomity you are, when somebody is interested, they're going to keep asking the questions because they want to know, right? So that's a little tidbit on word vomit. It's an ongoing practice, right? Like it takes time. I'm 2 years into the business and sometimes I still get excited. It's hard not to, but try not to, right? Okay. And I forgot this. My 5 secrets actually turns into 6. Shocker. After I just talked about not word vomiting. Okay. Number 4, no niche needed. You'll hear it all the time, you guys. On Instagram, social media, people will tell you you need a niche and you need to be talking to a certain niche, right? I'm more on the side of you don't need a niche. We're human beings. We're complex in nature, right? We don't wake up and do the exact same thing every single day and like refuse a plan with friends if it's not inside your like pillars. Do you know what I mean? So why would I only have 3, 4, 5 pillars on Instagram and only talk about those things and niche myself into that specific? Like it's just not natural in my mind. For some people, they do it and it works and it's wonderful. I'm not one of those people. My Instagram is a curation of motherhood and lifestyle and whatever the heck I ordered off Amazon that day. Like, and you know what? That's just life, you guys. Like life, that's life. Things change, right? And there's like a sense of authenticity in that and just sharing your life, right? So don't stress yourself out if you hear somebody tell you you need a niche and you're like, oh my God, I don't have one. It's fine. It's working just fine for me and it can for you too, right? You don't absolutely need one. Now I do say not to be confused with product selling. And this is the one spot I'll kind of get into product selling specifically just a little bit, because if you're out there talking about every single flash sale, the skincare, the wellness, the dog shampoo when it goes on sale, our hair care, your audience is so confused because there's just so much and you talk about all of it. And maybe you love all of it and maybe you want to talk about all of it. That's fine. But personally, for me, I don't use the skincare. So I don't really talk about skincare sales. I might post the odd graphic when one comes up, like once in the weekend, just to let my people know that it's on and it's there if they're interested. I do not pursue anybody about the skincare. I will not get in my stories and verbally talk about the skincare because it's not something that I use and it's not what I'm passionate about. I'm all about the hair. Right. And even so, like if you can find kind of like a niche, if it's the hair for you too, if you can find like a niche within the hair, that helps. And what I mean by that is like, I stretched my washes from every other day to every 7 to 10 days. And I talked about that and I kind of niched in on that for a while in like the first year of my business. Guess what? Everybody was buying my stretch it out package, which was like, the Rejuvenique oil, the Dry Champ shampoo, right? My Renew shampoo. Because people can identify with that. People are like, oh my gosh, I wash every day or every other day. I don't want to do that. How do I stretch it out? Right? Or curly girls. Curly girls have a crazy little niche market, right? It could be whatever. But kind of if you can find one and like hone in on maybe your favorite lineup of products and consistently show up and consistently talk about them, you're doing your audience a service and yourself a service in your business, because then when a flash sale comes up and you can incorporate those products that you keep talking about and you keep educating on, everybody's going to want that flash sale when it drops, right? Okay. Content strategy. Personally, I'm not one to sit down and write out a Monday to Friday content strategy of what I'm going to post during the week. Kind of the same as the niche. The minute I feel like I have to niche on something, or the minute I feel like I have to post something that I wrote out Monday to Friday, it becomes work and I'm not going to want to do it. And it's not going to feel genuine at all to me or my audience probably when I post it, because it's planned. It's not like, I've never, in all the years that I've been posting on Instagram, I have never planned out my stories, not ever. They're just as it happens through the day. And again, there's like a genuinity to that and an authenticity to that. For some people, that freaks them out and they need a plan. I'm not knocking that. So if you're one of those people that are like, no, you know what? It's going to help keep me organized to have a content strategy and write out what I want to post during the week, even if it's a rough outline, a rough idea. If that helps you, great, do it. For me, again, work smarter, not harder, all about efficiency. And I have no trouble just showing up. It just happens naturally, right? So kind of like when it comes to content strategy too, I feel like it's one of those things you're going to hear about, and doing what works for you is the best answer. Don't let anybody tell you you have to niche or you have to plan a content strategy, right? Think about what's going to work for you. And showing up, right? My number 6 of my top 5 secrets is just show up, you guys. Show your face versus graphics. People more often than not are buying into you, not necessarily the products, right? 9 times out of 10, they like what they see with you and they trust you and they've developed a relationship with you, whether you know it or not. Like people are always watching and are relating to you more than you know. And so being able to show your face when you're talking about a product or a flash sale goes so much further than just showing a graphic, right? Showing a graphic and walking away is what we call posting and praying. And it doesn't work that often. It'll work sometimes, sure, but not like a business, right? So show your face and get in there. Your consistency and your ability to show up turns into trust, right? Especially if you're new in the business and people are watching you and you're not getting sales. That, I guarantee you, is because people are watching because it's new for you and they want to see how long you stick with it. And they want to see if it's just a thing that you're going to drop in 3 weeks or if you're actually into it. And guess what? 5, 6 months later, 1 year later, those people are going to come around and be like, oh my God, she's still talking about that shampoo. Right. And I feel like it's kind of happening with me right now. Like I hit a dry spell and like now I'm getting all these people reaching out who have never shown interest before. So people are watching even when you think they're not. And sometimes it's a matter of trust. They want to see how serious you are about it. And is it actually working for you? Right? So when you're able to show your before and afters and you're in your stories every single day talking about it in one way or the other, it builds trust and it keeps people watching to see what you're going to do. Right? And sharing other recommendables, you guys, like I kind of fell into this trap in my first few months of Monat where I only shared Monat and I still only do a lot, like a lot. But if you can slip in other products or whatever that you enjoy and you want to share with people, like for example, I'm talking about my Stanley versus my Yeti right now on my Instagram. People are going nuts, being like, oh my gosh, is it really better than the Yeti? And I'm like, girl, yeah, it is. And you know what? People are buying freaking Stanleys because I'm talking about them. And keylets, that's the other thing. I have one right here, right? You put your keys on them. They're super handy for on the go. And it's a Canadian owned, I'm from Canada for anybody watching. The Keelet is like a Canadian owned business. I talk about it all the time. Do you know how many freaking Keelets I've sold for this girl? Like, oh my gosh. And guess what? The people who are buying the Keelets and loving them or buying the Stanley and loving it, they're now going to be ears up about my shampoo because they've bought other products from me that they love. So I've built that trust. So if you can do that and share other things too, people appreciate that and it goes a long way. And I think I just got the warning that I'm about to get cut off. So if I get cut off, we can do a part 2.0. That's no problem. So too much of a good thing, you guys. 4 things to avoid now. So I've kind of given you pointers of what to think about. 4 things to avoid. Cute graphic overload, right? I've already said, show your face, create the relationship. But guess what else doesn't like the graphics? Not only people aren't sucked in by them too often, neither is the algorithm of Instagram. If you post too many graphics in a row, your views go like this, right? And that's not just people not enjoying them, you guys. I know that because I have very faithful, like a good story following. If I do too many graphics in a row, it tanks. And I know those people just aren't seeing them. It is the algorithm at work thinking that seems robotic. There's too many graphics in a row, right? And if you use words like sale or like I try to avoid sale, what I'm trying to think of some other ones, but it picks that up, right? And it doesn't like that. So avoid cute graphic overload, avoid making it about you. We are selfish by nature. That's just a human thing. We are. Like, so when you go to somebody's page, you don't really care about them. You're looking for ways that you can relate to it, right? And if you pull up a story and you can relate to what's happening, you are like 90% more likely to type and respond and engage and be like, oh my gosh, me too, girl. Like, because me, right? So when you're in your stories, make it about them, right? Even if it's a personal situation in your life that you're posting about, like my toddler threw 7 fits today. Nobody cares that your toddler threw 7 fits. They're going to message you and say, oh my God, mine threw 11. Like, right? So make it about them, make it relatable for them. And avoid using only large trending hashtags. I covered that already. And avoid the engagement pods, you guys. It's tempting to do like for like, and it's tempting to, do the comment for comment and whatever. The algorithm doesn't like that either. And it's also a huge time consumer for you. So Genuinity and authenticity goes further than any engagement pod. I promise you that. Okay. So the why and how, the number one mistake people make, and I mentioned this earlier, is forgetting that Instagram is a social platform. Engaging does two things for you. It opens up conversation, which is good, new conversation, and it also brings attention to your space, because if you're having a good conversation with somebody, guess what? They're probably going to say, hey, I wonder what this girl's all about. Like if it's a new thing, they'll go check out your page, right? The explore page, randomized, and 10 minutes after posting, like if you throw up a reel, go into the explore page and engage with people for 10 minutes, like random people that you don't even follow, right? Or go to your following and check them out and engage on their stuff. But set the timer, be intentional, don't get too wrapped up in it. But if you're able to engage right after you post, it kind of boosts yours as well, right? Because again, people are seeing you comment and they're like, hey, who's this girl? So same with story viewing. And I mentioned that earlier, go through your story ticker, engage and watch. Open up polls in your stories and always respond to people engaging on your content, right? If I'm ever stuck or in a rut, one thing I love to do is go to people watching my stories because they're in my house. That's not weird. And I reach out and I say, hey, I see you watching my stories and I appreciate your support in my corner of the gram so much. Like, thanks for following along. Nothing weird about that. Opens up a conversation. I've had a few people say, hey, actually, I'm glad you messaged because I've been meaning to ask you the shampoo. And people are just scared, like, to do the initial reach out sometimes. So doing something like that opens up that conversation. So get out there and get social. I don't want this to cut me off at a really weird time. Oh, I have 5 minutes left. Okay, I'll do another slide. We're doing good, Kiana. Okay. Get to know your audience, right? Engage with them. Put up question boxes, polls, and again, make it about them because we're all selfish, even if we like to think we're not. And what does your audience respond to? Like, notice that, right? Sometimes I'll put up a poll and it tanks. Like sometimes I get zero, well, not zero, but like a couple of responses. And I'm like, oh, that didn't really fly. Pay attention to when that happens. That's equally as good information as when it does fly, because whatever you posted that people weren't really into, don't do it again, right? And when you post something that gets a lot of engagement, recognize that and hone in on that and do it again. It happened to me. I posted about a grocery haul and I did like a guess how much my grocery haul was. And I scanned the counter with all my groceries. Holy crap. People ate that up. They loved it. And so guess what? I did it again the next week. And it's just another way to engage. And when people submitted their guesses, you guys, I got so many guesses, but I responded to each and every one of them. And it's as easy as like a simple copy paste, right? Like same answer, right? If they're below, like, holy smokes, I wish it was that much. Ha ha ha. Thanks for guessing. Copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. Like, it doesn't have to be hard, but I'm making sure I'm answering all of them because they took the time to engage with me. And it's a social platform, right? Share hair pain points, right? With people. Again, that makes it about them. That gives them something to connect to, right? If you're really tangly, how do you deal with it? What's the tip, right? And that leads me into the next one. Share hair tips and tricks and insights, not just Monat. I am naturally tangly, and I've shared my method, right? For in the shower with my hair mask and my wide tooth shower comb, and people ask about it, right? And I share tips on how to prevent breakage that has nothing to do with Monat, just hair health. I've had so many people reach out and be like, I've learned so much from you about my hair. Like, thank you. They don't buy Monat, not yet, but they're listening and they trust me and they're here for my tips. So don't get lost in like thinking it just has to be every flash sale that you're talking about Monat. You should be talking about Monat every day consistently, not just showing up for flash sales. Otherwise, you're doing your business a huge disservice. And like I said, consistency. People are always watching, even when you think they're not, you guys. Breadcrumbing is something that I do all the time. So breadcrumbing is when you are able to talk about something without actually mentioning that something, right? So anybody that's following me knows that I've gone down to part-time this year because of my shampoo. So I'm only working part-time at my university. I have Wednesdays and Fridays off to spend with my little guy. And I will often post about just us dancing in the kitchen or at the trampoline park and whatever it is. And without mentioning Monique, sometimes I will, but sometimes I will just be like the gift of time, or so glad I can spend today not at my office desk and with my little minion instead, like whatever it is, right? Finding ways to talk about Monique without actually mentioning Monique at all. Get creative. Okay, I made it. I did it. I have 1 minute remaining and I'm going to get cut off. Thank you for tuning in tonight. For those of you who are here in person and anyone catching the recording, my handle is there. Kiana is your upline if you're watching this, I presume. So reach out to us anytime and ask the questions. Thank you guys.